Okay, so guys, I want to start today with saying that failure is never a lack of resources. It is a lack of resourcefulness.
Oh,
Emotions are our ultimate resource. So I want you guys to hear that again. I'll say it slow so you can write it down. Failure is never a lack of resources. It is a lack of resourcefulness. And emotions are our ultimate resource. So I'm going to explain what that means in a second, but I'll let you guys get that down. The first thing that I would like to do is, I'm not sure if you can all see my whiteboard up here, but I have one half and it says empowering emotions. And then I have another half and it says disempowering emotions. So what we're going to do is I want you guys to write down under your empowering emotions, emotions that you feel regularly, so maybe daily or at least a couple times a week, emotions that you feel like empower you. So a couple examples that I have are like feeling blessed, feeling grateful, and feeling loved. Those are some things that I feel pretty regularly that I feel like are empowering emotions to me. So take a minute and write down just like 3 to 5 empowering emotions that you feel like, I feel these things pretty regularly and they build me up, they empower me. And I'll give you just a few seconds to do that. Then on the other side, after you have 3 to 5 things there, I want you to write down some things that you feel regularly and be willing to be vulnerable with yourself here. What are things that you feel pretty often that are disempowering emotions? So, a few examples of those might be like you're not enough, might be sad, might be like you're falling short, or might be angry even. So take a moment and think about it. What are some disempowering or negative emotions that you feel, maybe every day or at least 3, 4 days a week that you're like, I do kind of spend a lot of time feeling like I'm not enough or like I'm falling short. Write down a couple of those and I'll give you a minute. And the reason why we're doing this is because we really want to become aware of what our emotional patterns are. Our emotional patterns are both the positive and the negative emotions that we experience at least once a week to every day. So somewhere in there, and it's regularly. So even if it's like once a week, you're extremely PO'd, that would be an emotional pattern because it's a recurring feeling that you spend time in. Also, most of us can usually find more disempowering things than we can find empowering things that we regularly spend time in. And so, after you get that done, I want to ask you this. What is your favorite flavor of suffering? And I think you're like, what? Nobody likes to suffer. But our favorite flavor of suffering literally is, what emotion, what negative emotion is your favorite flavor? Is it guilt? Is it frustration? Is it annoyance? Think of those negative emotions that you made a list of. And if you guys want to take turns and unmute yourself so I can write a couple up here, tell me, like, if I'm being vulnerable and completely honest with myself, what is my 1 to 2 favorite flavors of suffering? Because every time we spend time in those negative places, we're choosing to remain in a place of suffering. So Rebecca, do you feel open to sharing your favorite flavor of suffering?
Yes, I said happiness and thankful.
Okay, but no. You gotta hear me. Your favorite flavor of suffering is
Oh,
your negatives. What negatives do you always go to? What negatives are you like? I'm sorry, what? You're muted again. Unmute. Unmute.
said there's so much going on. Sorry.
It's okay. So your favorite flavors of suffering, which negative emotions do you find yourself going to a lot? It could be anger, frustration, guilt,
I
like
said tired and frustration.
okay. So you would say then your favorite flavors of suffering are tired and frustration. So I'm going to write those down. And then Whitley, if you feel okay to unmute yourself, you want to tell me yours?
Mine would be grumpy and
You said sad and what?
sad and what? Grumpy.
Okay, sad and grumpy. And then Jen, do you feel like unmuting and telling me yours?
How about guilty, anxious,
Okay. So
scared?
were guilt and frustration. So we have those up there too. And unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit it, those are my favorite flavors of suffering. Those are when I'm having a real bad day, I usually feel extra frustrated or extra guilty, and it sucks. But if we become aware of that, then each day you can wake up and be like, am I going to choose my favorite flavor of suffering? Or am I going to choose my favorite flavor of joy? And then when you start to feel guilty or frustrated or sad or whatever it is, you could be like, whoa, why am I getting a big old scoop of this ice cream? Right? I don't like that. It's bitter. It's yucky. It's rotten. It's spoiled. It's melted, whatever. I'm not going to choose that anymore. So I want you each now to think of 1 to 2 new emotions that if you spent time in them every day, intentional time, or even if you traded in the time that you spend in your favorite flavor of frustration for these new emotions instead, which 2 emotions would really, really make a serious impact in your life slash business? For an example, I chose playfulness and confidence. I feel like if I took all of the time that I spent feeling guilty and frustrated and instead felt playful and confident, I would see massive growth in my business and in my life. So I want you each to take a second, and I won't make you share them, but write them down. What are 1 to 2 emotions that if you could trade in for your suffering emotions, if you could take them and trade it in and spend time there instead of tired, frustrated, guilty, sad, grumpy, anxious, that would make a huge impact? And I'll give you a second to think of those and write them down. And I think of it like this. So for myself, with playfulness, I thought if I approached my workday playfully, I was excited, I was going to have fun, joke with some people, make some new connections. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this thing, right? Oh my gosh, I used to be so constipated too. Ha ha ha. We're talking about poop for all our workday. Like, if we really approached it in a playful way, and I didn't approach it maybe in like a frustrated way of like, oh my gosh, all these people are blowing me off and no one wants to talk about poop, poor me, I would probably make a huge impact in my business. The same thing with confidence. Instead of feeling guilty, like maybe I didn't say the right thing, maybe I didn't reach out soon enough, maybe this, maybe that, maybe I'm just not good at explaining things, or like whatever it is, right? And feeling like it's my fault. If I approach things with confidence, I know what I'm talking about. I know that this is good for people. I know that this is what they need. And I just approach it like that no matter what. That would have a huge impact in my business compared to, again, staying in those negative flavors. So that said, this is what I would like to say to you guys. There are 3 decisions that all of us make every single day. The first decision is, what will I focus on? Because your focus decides your feelings. So if I wake up and my back hurts and the kids are loud and somebody's puking and I'm like, oh my goodness, and that's what I'm focused on, I'm probably going to be feeling frustrated, down, overwhelmed, whatever, right? And whatever I'm feeling is then going to decide that second decision that we make every day, which is, what does it mean? Well, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and whatever else, and my back hurts and just, and the kids are puking and whatever else, I'm probably going to decide something like, this means I'm not going to get any work done today. And I will probably have that thought. I will be like, oh, well, I'm focused on all these negative things happening that I didn't plan for. I'm feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and stressed out. So this means that I'm not going to work today, not going to get anything done. Well, whatever you decide that it means, that equates to your actions, because the third thing that you decide every single day of the three is, what will I do? So you decide, what will I focus on? What does it mean? And what will I do? We make those decisions again and again and again and again all day long, every single day. So if you have decided to focus on the negative things you didn't plan for, and you've decided that this means you're not going to get any work done today, your action will probably be, well, I'm just not going to get any work done today, and then not do it. All because of what you focused on. So here's the flip side of that. If I wake up and my back hurts and the kids are puking and oh my gosh, blah, 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 but I'm like, okay, well, this means that we're probably not going to do homeschool today because the kids aren't feeling well. So I'm focused on giving them some warm tea, maybe with some chamomile and lavender. They can lay down, be calm, watch a movie. This means that I might actually have some time to get some extra messages sent today. So that meaning to the action that would cause would be, I'm going to get the kids all tucked in and settled down and put a movie on, and then I'm going to go sit at the table and I'm going to get some extra messages done that I wouldn't have got done if I was homeschooling and cooking all the meals like normal and blah, 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 because it's way easier to make tea and broth because people are throwing up, and it actually gives me more time. That's one way that you can look at this. Another way is a story that I absolutely love, and it's actually a story about salesmen, and I can't even remember where I heard it first, but essentially there's two salesmen and they live in the same town. They both wake up in the morning and it's a crazy pouring rain thunderstorm out. The first salesman is like, this sucks. It's cold, it's windy, it's raining. I'm not going to make any sales today because I can't go outside and walk around in this crazy thunderstorm and knock on people's doors and whatever else. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to do anything today. And he stays home and he makes 0 sales. The second salesman is like, oh my gosh, I am so excited. Not only do I have a great raincoat and some rain boots, but everyone is going to be home today. No one's going to be at the park. No one's going to be doing sports. No one's going to be doing yard work or be too busy or whatever else. Everybody is going to be home because of the storm, which means that I'm more likely to make a sale today. So I'm going to get bundled up in my stuff and go knock on every single door in the neighborhood, because I know that everyone, especially the people that normally wouldn't be home, they're all going to be home today. That's the same thing, guys. What are you going to focus on? What does it mean? And what are you going to do? A rainstorm could mean no work for me today as a door-to-door salesman, or a rainstorm could mean I'm going to make extra sales today because everyone is going to be home. We all get to decide those things every single day. Most of us are most likely to decide the option of our favorite flavor of our suffering. We're mostly like, oh, this means something bad and blah, 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 right? So does everyone understand that part before I move on? Hopefully we're all good. Okay. So that said, moving on from our favorite flavors of suffering and the 3 decisions that we make every single day, I want to talk to you guys about what things create suffering. The things that create suffering, I'm sorry, one moment, guys. I have to really, okay, sorry. So the 3 things that create suffering are feeling like we're losing something, so loss, feeling like we have less than, or feeling like we will never. Those are the three things that create suffering. So loss, less, and never. So when a situation happens, if our mindset is loss, less, or never, like, oh, I've lost the opportunity to make sales today, or I will have less time maybe than other people, or I never just get time to work. When those types of thoughts creep in your head, that leads to you getting a big old scoop of your favorite suffering every single time. However, the three things that end suffering are appreciation and enjoyment, learning and growing, and love and gratitude. Let me give you an example of this. If one of you is super, 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 super stinking angry, and then I ask you to tell me about why you're grateful for your kids, can you tell me about why you're grateful for your kids and stay super angry? Probably not, because you're going to smile and think of their cute little faces and their cute little toes and their cute little fingers. And oh my gosh, like, I just wanted them so bad and I just love them so much and whatever it is, right? You cannot exist in a mindset of gratefulness and exist in a suffering mindset at the same time. It's literally impossible. And actually challenge you guys the next time that you feel like you've chosen your favorite flavor of suffering to say to yourself, what do I appreciate and enjoy in this day? What could I learn from this situation, or how could I grow from it? And or what do I love and can I give gratitude for in this moment? Because when we do that immediately, we interrupt that pattern. We interrupt that choosing that favorite flavor of suffering. So if you start to feel guilty or frustrated or sad and you're like, whoa, 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 I see what I'm doing here. What do I appreciate and enjoy? What can I learn from this and how can I grow? What do I love and can get gratitude for? Once you start thinking about any of those things, you literally cannot continue to exist in that suffering. It's actually impossible. If you don't believe me, just try it and you'll be like, holy crap, she was right. So that said, I want you guys to begin to do two things. Every time that you choose your favorite flavor of suffering, I want you to stop yourself and remind yourself of the three things that end suffering. And even if you pick one of them, like, what can I learn from this? Oh, I can learn not to present weight loss in the same way to a person who by their picture is obviously obese, because they're going to feel like I'm calling them fat. And instead, maybe I'll send them a picture of when I was heavier and where I am now and be like, I just want to show you my progress on getting healthy. And would you be open to hearing what I've done? Or something like that. What can you learn to grow? Or even if you have to say, what do I love and what can I give gratitude for in this moment? Okay, I'm extremely grateful that I get to work from home. I'm extremely grateful that I get to own my own business. Yes, we partner with Plexus, but we technically own our own businesses, ladies. And so I want you to really ask yourself, like, what am I grateful for in this? What do I love about this job? Think of the last person that was like, oh my gosh, I use the bathroom today. And usually I go once every 10 days and they're just so excited about a poop, right? That you're like, yes, I helped them, you know? Think about that and ask yourself, what do I love about this? What am I grateful for? What do I appreciate about this opportunity? And I promise you that in any situation, but especially work, you will not be able to exist in that suffering state anymore. And I really, really want that for you guys. Another thing that I think is really, really important, okay, is that we usually have things that trigger our suffering emotions. So pick one of your suffering emotions, like let's say guilt. Think about when you feel guilty or when you feel sad or when you feel grumpy or anxious, whatever it is. There's usually regular things that happen and then you feel this way. For an example, and I'll be vulnerable here. When it seems like, in my opinion, that my husband is unhappy or frustrated or angry or whatever, that triggers me to start feeling overwhelmed every single time. And it's because I feel like there's something I'm not doing or should be doing or whatever, right? And I internalize it all and I take it upon myself. And so then I'm like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. And there I am in my favorite flavor of frustration. Here I am again, right? And this triggered it again. So then we usually do things that do not serve us, right? Like, I usually will be a little bit sarcastic with my husband, like, we have so much to be blessed for, like, what the heck, right? Um, and it's because I feel like he's making me feel overwhelmed by him appearing to be unhappy about something. That's an example of that. So I want you guys later on after this call, spend some time, look at your suffering emotions that you regularly go to, and ask yourself what usually triggers me going to this place. Whether it's, oh, I'm just too tired, I'm frustrated, I'm guilty, I'm anxious, I'm sad, I'm grumpy. What usually happens that makes you feel those things? And I'm sure you'll notice, oh my gosh, this is what always happens. And then I immediately feel that way. Why do we want to uncover that? The reason that we want to uncover that is because once we do, okay, we can literally be like, stop, enough. And we can change that pattern. Here's the next step of that. When a thing happens that immediately puts you into a suffering state or a negative thought state, we usually have things that we say in our head immediately. Like, oh, I never get to, etc. Right? Or, oh, this always happens. Or they don't care about me. Or they don't want to meet my needs. Or like whatever it is, right? We usually have a thing that we say in our head. And so for the sake of this, I thought I would give kind of a funny example because I don't really try to swear that much. But let's say if I'm usually like, what the F, right? What the F when this happens, and then I'm all overwhelmed. My husband is acting like he's unhappy again. I'm like, what the F? And here I am overwhelmed. Well, instead of saying what the F in my head or whatever it is I would normally say, if you stop yourself and you make yourself say something that's like weird or silly or funny, and we talked about this before about the words in our head and how that affects our emotions so heavily. Maybe instead of what the F, I could say, wow, this is fantastic. What an opportunity I have to see what I could do to best support my husband since he's seeming so unhappy. And I don't need to be overwhelmed about this at all, because if he's choosing his favorite flavor of frustration, that does not mean that I have to, right? So I know you're like, yeah, that's easier said than done, but it actually takes a lot of practice. And here's what I'm going to tell you guys, and it might not be the best thing that you want to hear, but it is the truth. And you know, I'll always be honest with you. So when you choose a suffering state, you're always thinking about yourself. You cannot be angry, guilty, tired, overwhelmed, frustrated, or anything else and not be thinking about you. If you don't believe me, think about one of those emotions and ask yourself what thoughts go to your head when you're feeling that way. It's all about you. I this, I don't have time. I this, nobody respects that I just cleaned the house, or like whatever it is. It's always about you. And if we want to be in the alternate of that, which is appreciation, learning, growing, we're actually then thinking about other people. So here's my suggestion. When a thing happens in life or your business, and it puts you into that suffering state, the first step is this, right? What just happened that got me here? I was fine before this. What event happened? Write it down. This person said no to me and they were super, super rude. Whatever it is, right? Write it down. And then ask yourself, right? What do I feel like doing? Do I feel like quitting? Do I feel like being done for the day? Do I feel like whatever? I already reached out to 2 other people, so I'm just going to stop even though I have this big goal or whatever it is. Ask yourself, what happened, right? What does it mean to me? And what am I going to do about it? And then pause yourself and realize that you're choosing these answers from your suffering state. Give yourself 90 seconds to feel whatever feeling it is you're feeling. Feel anxious for 90 seconds. Set a timer on your phone. Feel frustrated, feel tired, feel whatever. And then tell myself when this timer goes off on my phone and this 90 seconds is up, I'm going to focus on what I appreciate or enjoy, what I could learn from this and how I could grow, or what I love and how I can give gratitude in this situation. I'm not saying don't ever feel negative feelings, because that's just not realistic. But what I'm suggesting is you give yourself a time to feel that, and then you be in control of yourself and you say, I am done. I'm anxious right now. I get 90 seconds to be as anxious as I want. Once the 90 seconds is done, I've got to move on. How can I change it? What's my thought pattern? Maybe like this always happens. I never have enough time to get my work done. And you could say to myself, this is fantastic. I get to get really creative about how I can finish work while nursing the screaming baby. What could I do? Okay, maybe I'll nurse her and then send voice messages so I don't have to text. This is fantastic. How lucky am I that I get this opportunity to work at home in my bra with no shirt on, nursing my baby, sending voice messages, and still doing my job when nobody else is going to pay me to do that. So, hello, this is pretty awesome. Literally force yourself to change that state. Give yourself that 90-second timer, okay? Remember that if we are in a suffering state, we are only thinking about us. And guys, none of us want to be those people that are me, 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 me. I know that we don't, because that's not who we are. That's not why we do this type of job. We do this type of job because we really, truly love and care about other people, and we want to help them. So we absolutely are not doing our customers, our future customers, or ourselves any justice by me, 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 me. I this, I that, I know time, I blah, blah. I always get the crazy people, whatever it is, right? You can't think about yourself. You have to stop yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Oh, I'm doing this because of what I appreciate and enjoy, what I can learn and grow, and because of what I love and what I'm grateful for. That's why I'm doing this. And you can get yourself out of that negative state quickly, and you can move forward to finishing your work day or whatever it is you need to get done. So I want you guys to write this down, and it's not going to be what you think, but I want you to write down, it's all BS. It's all BS. And when you hear it's all BS, you're probably thinking, I mean, bull cow poop, right? But I don't mean that kind of BS. What I mean is all suffering is your belief system. All suffering is BS. What do I mean by that? If you believe I always have less time than other people, I never get this or that, or I have lost my opportunity to work today, or whatever else, and you're choosing to remain in those negative mindsets, that's your belief system. Those are your beliefs. That's why those thoughts come up. That's why you repeat those things in your head, right? We have the power to change our belief system with just what words we're saying inside our head, okay? Now, I want you to think of this. Here's another thing to write down. Words are only actually violent if you attach them to a brick. That means if you literally write a word on a brick and then throw it, then your word is violent. But it does not matter what anyone else says to you, whatever group chat, whatever criticism you get, whatever no, whatever, oh, I didn't think you were one of those MLM girls, whatever it is. We only can be hurt by those words if it's attached to a brick. And I'm pretty sure no one is throwing bricks through our window about trying to get them to do plexus. So we can choose to stay in our BS, okay? Which is our belief system, but it's also actual BS. We can choose to stay there and be like, see, I'm just not good at this. Nobody wants to do it. I won't ever find people. I'll never be a diamond, blah, blah, blah. We can stay in that, or we can choose to be like, wait a minute. Was there a brick attached to those words? Nope. So it didn't hurt me. I'm going to change my BS. I'm going to say no more BS. No more frustration. No more sad. No more anxious. I'm done with that. I get 90 seconds. Okay, process it. Move on. I want you guys to ask yourself the next time that something happens, your husband says or does something, your sister says or does something, your kid throws a toy and it smacks you in the face. Maybe that was attached to a brick, but you know. Whenever whatever happens, ask myself, is this BS? And if it is BS, am I going to literally be like, yep, I'm going to join in and participate in the BS? Or am I going to be like, wait a minute. What's my favorite flavor of suffering? Oh, wait, I'm not choosing that anymore. I actually like chocolate ice cream way better. So I'm going to do that. Now, I want you guys to think of it like this, okay? The word fear, that comes up a lot in our business. We're afraid to do live videos. We're afraid to reach out to that person. We're afraid they might say no. We're afraid they might return their products. We're afraid they won't follow the schedule and then get bad results. And then, right? All these things. It's lots of fear. This is what fear actually stands for. F is for face. E is for everything. And, well, A is for and. And R is for rise. So face everything and rise. What does this mean? It means send the message anyways. It means go for the no, which we get told all the time. It means, so what if they return their stuff? At least I tried. Maybe they'll be like, holy crap, now I feel really wonky that I stopped taking my pink drink and I miss it. Can I actually come back? Which, by the way, guys, I've had probably 6 customers in the last year decide to come back 3 to 6 months later and be like, actually, I decided I did like the Plexus when I took it, even though I told you that it did nothing for me. So face everything and rise. Guys, where are we rising to? We're rising to 5-star diamond. We're rising to more money in a month than we've probably most of us made alone in a year. We're rising to yacht trips, into buying our own houses, or building our dream houses, or opening up that dream business, or paying for all the college for our kids, or whatever it is that is your why. That's what we are rising towards. So face everything and rise. I want you guys, when fear comes up, when those things happen and you go right for your scoop of your favorite flavor of suffering, I want you to be like, where's my phone? We always all have our phones. 90-second timer. Here's how long I'm allowed to feel this. And then I'm done, because I'm not sitting in this anymore. Honor your feeling. Honor that anxiousness. Honor that guilt. I feel like this right now. But why do I feel like this? I feel like this because this happened, and I decided that it meant this, and so I decided I was going to do this, and that's BS. Tell yourself, look yourself in the mirror and be like, this is such BS. Why am I choosing to feel this right now? It's BS. All of your families are going to think you're insane because you're yelling at yourself in the mirror that it's BS, but hey, do it anyways. It'll be fine. That said, guys, I love you all. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you will spend some time reflecting. I hope you will keep this paper or your notes or whatever around for maybe like the next week. And every time that you're like, ooh, boy, I have been in suffering this morning, get your paper or your notes. Write down, what was I feeling? Was I feeling anger? Was I feeling bitterness? Was I feeling rejection? What was I feeling, right? And then remind yourself of those 3 decisions that you get to make every single day, and realize, guys, that you are in control of those decisions. Nobody else gets to decide those things for you, right? So those 3 decisions as a recap. What am I focused on? What does it mean? And what will I do about it? So if you realize that you're sitting and suffering, you're like, oh, I'm just so tired, I can't work, or boy, I'm really anxious today, I just don't feel like I can send these messages, whatever, or Justina reminded me that I'm supposed to do a live video, and holy crap, I don't want to do it, and I'm feeling so anxious and nervous and all the things, right? Literally ask yourself, okay, those 3 questions, give yourself 90 seconds to sit with it, and then send it off. Now, before our recording time is up, does anybody have any questions for me at all? If you do, speak now, forever hold your peace. No, but for real, Whitley, you have any questions or anything you want to elaborate or?
I will say this, Justina knows, but I've been dealing with some pretty bad anxiety as of recently. And I've used my work as my outlet, which actually helps my mood. So if I'm feeling anxious and I sit down and I message some people and I talk to some customers and they're feeling really good and they're a couple weeks in, then I feel better. So working through it sometimes when you can't just get past it is helpful than just not doing anything.
For sure. So that's a perfect example. Let's say you're feeling super, super anxious, Whitley. You can literally say to yourself, I'm going to face everything and rise, right? Yes, I'm anxious and I'm struggling to get out of it right now, but what can I love and appreciate? What can I give gratitude for? What, and when you go out and you're like, hey, customer, how you doing? And they're like, oh my gosh, I lost another 5 pounds and blah, blah, blah. And they're so excited, right? That helps you to rise. That brings up your mood. That helps you to get a little bit out of that anxiousness, So I think that that's amazing. And I love that you are able to do that. And I hope that encourages the rest of us to next time that we feel like something is going on and we're like, oh, I don't know if I can work, right? I'm feeling frustrated today, you know, go and find a thing about what we do that brings you up a little bit, right? That gets you a little bit out of that favorite flavor of suffering. Just find something and be like, you know what? I can still do this job while anxious. And boy, isn't that something to be grateful for? Because another job, they might be like, so you keep having this problem and we're going to have to let you go or whatever it is, right? So that said, Rebecca, I'm not sure if you're still really with us. Do you have anything you'd like to say before we end? Maybe. Okay. Well, I'm going to end this. I love all of you guys. I will get you the recording and I'm going to go check on Cass because she had said something happened. So if all of you don't mind just saying some extra prayers for her, hopefully it will be okay. But bye for now.